I've got an idea. One that I think clears up some confusion. Obviously, it can't clear up all the confusion yet. But it's an observation that I noticed a long time ago, and I think for some reason has flown under the radar in the FNAF community for a long time. And to start illustrating my point, look at Security Breach. Isn't it odd how the characters are like full people, full personalities. They got their own wants and dislikes and likes, and they have their own goals, which was just kind of odd, right? It was like out of left field. And I'm here to say, my observation is that it has been this way the entire time. The entire time. It has been exactly like this. It just did not seem that way because of how primitive the initial games were. And you might be skeptical. I can understand why, but let me ask a question. Who are you playing as here? Who are you playing as here? There's no way around it. You have to be playing as the character themselves, as the animatronic themselves. And what happens when things go wrong in both of those games? The character slows down significantly. Nothing else in regards to take cake to the children, nothing else slows down. Only Freddy. The murder doesn't slow down. The kids don't stop whining. And Foxy Go Go Go, Foxy slows down a lot when he sees the corpses. This to me has always read like shock and horror at witnessing what has happened, at noticing what they're looking at. And the only way that they can have shock and horror is if they are a full personality that actually cares. Now, with that in mind, you've also got Sister Location. Those are all full personality robots. Yes, there is some paranormal woo-woo going on because of the remnant involved, but none of them know that. They are all the character. They are all acting out their personality. Baby doesn't even remember who she is. She remembers the incident that got her this way, but doesn't realize that she's talking about herself, because the AI and the soul are separate. They are two you almost have a digital soul going on here, which can work because all of the real souls are merged. They're possessing these electronic devices. This is the reason why you have to go deep into the code to find these broken souls in order to rescue them. They are lost inside the thing that they are possessing. It gets real messy when you break them up. With that in mind also, who are you playing in Save Them? There's no reason for that to be a possessed Freddy. I don't care about the eyes. This is Charlie in her first rescue attempt. She witnessed this and she runs to get Freddy to help. And Freddy, of course, is too slow to rescue any of them. I think this allows for there to be only one set of murders, right? The main set. We can forget about a second set of murders at this location or the original location. Everything else is kind of symbolic in the way it's set up, right? And I'm not sure that Foxy literally ran out and saw all 5 kids. I will be willing to concede that there could have been more deaths. But in terms of the grand overall story, we've only got the 6 kids who are given names, even if we don't know them all. They are given closure, narratively. With this animatronic autonomy view, there is no need to confuse the matter with what set of murders was when, where, who did they affect, who is in what, and what, blah, 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 blah. Nonsense. Pointless. There's no need for that. When you look at it as if you are taking the wheel of the character themselves and them stumbling upon these horrible things. Okay? All right. Now, what else does this clear up? Does this potentially clear up? It potentially clears up a lot of the Ultimate Custom Night confusion. Because in Ultimate Custom Night, you've got strange lines, right? There appears to be minimum one puppet master who is creating this torture, the one you should not have killed. And we seem to hear from them through the whispers behind the voice lines of some of these characters, whenever they deign to speak to us. Now, there's a particular couple of lines that throw people off. And under this interpretation of animatronic autonomy, they get much easier to swallow. The first one is the withered Chica line.
I was the first. I have seen everything.
People get confused by this line because they assume it's Susie, and they've gotten to that conclusion through a number of convoluted methods. Even if Susie does wind up in Chica, this does not have to be Susie talking. Therefore, we do not have to have Susie being the first. Right? Charlie can still be the first, which makes the most narrative sense as the first murder. Right? We don't necessarily have to have the first death. You could, because like the girl that we assume is Susie was clearly lured away and murdered, right? That isn't her happening to die in circumstances surrounding Freddy's. Like you could say someone in a Springlock suit or some other industrial accident. So my contention here then is, I was the first. I have seen everything. Is Chica, withered Chica, herself speaking? It is not Susie speaking. And it is possible for that character, then, to be that old, to have been the first to witness, or maybe the first one who was stuffed, or something even farther back than that. Something like that. There's also no whisper behind that line. There's no real reason to assume it's a spirit talking. But if you assume it's Chica talking, it kind of eases up that cognitive dissonance. The same thing for withered Bonnie.
What is this new prison? Is it me trapped, or is it you? Perhaps it is us both.
That is Bonnie talking. And this can go for any of the oddball animatronics like the nightmares in Ultimate Custom Night, because we're working on purgatory logic. These are projections of those characters speaking, notwithstanding any other potential paranormal logic. The only one who really throws a wrench in that to me is Charlie, because in Ultimate Custom Night, she says things that do seem to indicate that's Charlie. However, it kind of doesn't narratively make sense that Charlie would bother with this torture. Unless, let's see, here things get a little funky for me. If you take an interpretation that the one you should not have killed yanked all these souls with him to do the torturing, then you could say that Charlie's there to stop that. She says things that can work both as Charlie or as the security puppet. My gut tries to lean into it being just Charlie, but this interpretation kind of throws that off a bit. There could be multiple spirits torturing Afton. I don't think there are, or at least I don't think there are multiple human spirits, but I'll get into that possibility another time. Oh, Nightmare Freddy.
I am remade, but not by you. by the one you should not have killed.
That is the character talking. I mean, all of Ultimate Custom Night, even all the unimportant lines are kind of tell you that these are the characters speaking. In fact, that's a better way to frame this. Every voice line in this game that isn't significant is the character itself speaking. It's a personality speaking. So why would you ever assume it's different for the ones that are significant but have no indication that they're anything else? The only ones that have indication that they're anything else are the ones with the whisper. All the other lines could easily just be the character. Now, what does this mean for everything? Well, it just sort of simplifies things. You don't have to always wonder and worry about who is where, what spirit is where when, because sometimes it's just the character. You could also use this to kind of interpret the crying child. These are my friends. I actually don't think that's what's going on there, but you could interpret it that way. I think something a little more spiritual is going on there, but I'll get into that another time. You could interpret it that way though, like he was actually because Cassie is friends with Roxy, was friends with Chica, right? This possibility of them being friends with a robot is there in the series. So he could have been friends with the literal characters themselves, since they only seem to ever have one at a time for some reason. Now, how does this work mechanically? Okay, here's where things get a little funny, because Remnant itself is a little funny. I have this inkling that the Remnant and the Soul are separate, but I'm not gonna get into that at the moment. What is clear is that the Soul and the AI character are separate, right? If you take my interpretation here, you've got one personality, you have a digital personality, and then you have a soul, an organic personality. When the soul binds to whatever it's possessing, it generally becomes more simplistic. It seems it kind of forgets its memories. The personality then of both personalities get informed by the other, and so they come to inhabit the character that they possess. They come to be them. They act as them. But then you get little bits of funny business, which is why the paranormal hoo-ha happens and the odd behaviors happen. There's conflicting wills going on. They just don't realize it because they've merged. You can see this dynamic play out directly with Springtrap. Afton remains at least partially sapient, but this super genius gets easily fooled by limited audio lures of children, because he's guided by the impulses of Spring Bonnie. With this, you can have both interpretations of the Wizards and the toys simultaneously. Like, it doesn't really conflict with either version. Either the toys are acting as they should, or they are partially possessed, and either can work in this way. Like, this doesn't get in the way of either of those ideas. Yeah, that's my observation here, and I think it's an important one. But it's small. It's not like a huge revelation. Well, maybe it is, but I feel like it cleans up a lot of potential confusion. You know, there's no need to worry about the second set of murders. There's no need to worry about who is speaking in Custom Night, because there's no actual confusion about who was speaking. There's another interpretation that I just thought of, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. We're not hearing either Susie or Chica that anytime you hear a weird line like that, it is Charlie. She's not just speaking through the puppet. I don't know. That's for another brainstorming session. To wrap it up, they got their own personalities, and they always have. The end. No argument.